It's the Aquarius New Moon, and this is Dandy Leon's take on life. um, I love new moons for goal setting, and when we set goals, those of us who are into this earth-based spirituality and astrology type things, when we set goals according to a new moon, what we're doing is we are not only working on something for 14 days until the next full moon, but we are also looking ahead for 6 months to see what do we want to come into fruition within 6 months time. So 6 months time from today, here we are in this like cold season where I live, and Aquarius energy is very cold. It's the star, and outer space is very cold. So we have this cold energy of now and the nucleus of now, and whatever we've decided that we want to see happen. And then we come into Leo energy, which is the end of July, beginning of August. Leo energy is fire and warmth, and it's cozy and it's comfy and it's wonderful. So between now and then, the things that Aquarius is all about is stepping outside the box. That's a huge part of Aquarius. So I'm coming to, I have this image of a cat in a box, and it's like, and it steps outside of the box. And I'm seeing like hermit underneath that, like the tarot card of the hermit, but it's the cat coming out of the box. So what that is what happens when we first step outside of the box. Joseph Campbell wrote something called The Hero's Journey. I highly advise looking into that. It's great for storytelling, and it's great for understanding the path of the Aquarius, because the first thing that happens when we step outside of our box is whoever's in the box is like, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing things the way that it's always been done? Well, the Aquarius already has the knowledge of Capricorn, how to build the empire. They're like, I've already done that. I've been there. I want to expand. I need more. I need more of this experience called life. So Aquarius steps outside of the box, and people will label them as the rebel. They'll label them as weird and different. So there's this, what would feel weird? What would feel different? What would people say? Like, what are you doing that for if you were to try to do it? I was listening, I'm a musician. I love playing music, and I was listening to glam rock the other day, and I was classically trained for 7 years, and that's like all I know, but I'm learning other things. Glam rock, I noticed, was using the same chord through the entire song, and I like to try to play the keyboard along to the vocals, and I noticed, as with much music, they're not singing a particular note that you could find on an instrument. They have their own instrument, and it's somewhat spoken. The voice is spoken. It's different. It's outside of the box. It's all about the makeup, and it's all about what you're wearing, and it's about the message, and it's about all that jazz. But it's not necessarily about the way that I was trained, which is singing the note as closely to how the instrument sounds as possible, but using your voice. It's not about that. It's not about any type of structure. It's poetry, it's prose, but it doesn't have to rhyme. It doesn't have to fit into a structure like a haiku. It's literally outside of the box. And I was noticing that and thinking about, well, in what ways, if I didn't have these self-imposed rules, would I roll the dice and go outside of my box with my music? So think about that in your life. What's of your heart? Aquarius, the spirit of Aquarius lives in our hearts. And its purpose is to blow cool air onto the fire, to cause the fire of Leo to expand and grow. And that fire, metaphorically speaking, is of our creativity. It's of what we love. It's, think of the lion heart and the bravery that it takes to do what we love and to keep doing it, and to do it in so many different ways. So what is your heart? What is your heart's spirit here for? What is it that you love? What really lights you up? What makes you feel good? And how can you try what that is in a different way than you've ever tried it before? And risk, your classical peers saying, what are you doing? What is that? That's not what we taught you, or that's not what we learned. Risk that. So that's Aquarius. Aquarius can be seen as a rebel, that can be seen as weird, and that's okay. Like, let yourself do that. Let yourself be a beginner. Aquarius's journey between here and July, August is to go through the realm of emotions. Some of you have already had a taste of that with Cancer being in Mars, where you felt really tired and super emotional. There's going to be a little bit more of that. We're going to be going into that kind of energy, but it's also going to have a spiritual flair to it, with Pisces telling us that to remember our dreams. So when our spirit comes out over to this earth and has decided that it's going to play the game, you know how you go through the day and you kind of forget what you dreamed about the night before? Well, that can be kind of like Aquarius's journey, is to remember, what did I dream about? What did I decide? And as you get further into the emotions, it's easier to forget. You're going to go through Cancerian emotions also at some point. It can be easy to forget what it is that makes the heart feel alive and what the spirit decided to manifest for its heart. It can be easy to forget that. So it's your purpose to remember. Star, if you were embodied as a star in outer space, you could be aware of the game of Earth, and it's not so much that you're not interested in it, but you have a broader perspective. So with whatever goal that you take today that you want to see come to fruition in the next 14 days, but also in the next 6 months, even more so, remember that you always have the ability to step back and look at the big picture. That's so important here. We have this type of an energy of Aquarius. Has also been known for its detachment. Some people are afraid of the detachment quality. They see it as robotic or unemotional, and it's not actually that. And it's not necessarily a not caring. What it is it's more like, have you ever walked into a room and forgot what you walked in there for? You're like, what did I come in here for? It's like that. But it's also, you have to remember what you came in there for. But it's also, you walk into a room and you know what you came in there for, and you're doing what you came in there for. There's not a big emotional attachment to the room that you were just in, because you're not in that room anymore. It's just a day-to-day thing. We go through this type of Aquarian detachment on a regular basis throughout our day. So this is about remembering that we have a lot of data inside of us to access, and applying that data to whatever it is that our goals are. What are your goals? What are things that you love that you want to expand upon? It's not as much about detachment as it is about expansion. Another thing that Aquarius is known for is, they call it rooting for the underdog, or being a humanitarian. And I don't look at it as rooting for the underdog, because who's to say who the underdog really is? Life's not over yet completely for everybody. So you don't necessarily know. Like, if you're looking at life through a frame and a lens of there's winners and there's losers, then you're limited. And Aquarius is very expansive. What Aquarius definitely will notice is it's like this. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. It's like seeing the obstacles in the way. So while Aquarius might be seen as being all about justice and humanitarian causes, it's more about, Aquarius has this knowledge that we came here on this planet to have an experience that our heart, our spirit in our heart wants to see manifest. And there's obstacles in the way for different people, for different reasons. And Aquarius is very aware that those obstacles are there, but Aquarius can see beyond those obstacles, because Aquarius is looking at everything from a broader perspective, like that star that's embodied. We all have star matter in us. It's in our cellular DNA. It's a part of who we are. So imagine just seeing everything from that perspective, and how much easier it would be to see the way through or around the obstacle. Having already come to this planet with all of the knowledge that Capricorn has, which is how to build an empire and how to climb the hill and how to go through the struggles. Aquarius already knows all that. It has all that data. Plus, it has the data of what its spirit decided when it came down to this earth, before it even came here, what it wanted to do. So it's about, and Aquarius can be very misunderstood, but it's about remembering we're here for a certain reason, and there's a way to see around or through or under or over the obstacles if we can take a step back and do so. So in the goals that you set for yourself that you want to see come to fruition in the next 6 months time, just imagine what is it that what would be required? What ways would you need to step outside of the box? Are you prepared to take a different perspective and a different view about what you're going through when you step outside of that box? For some of us, it might be feeling as if there is a hardship in stepping away from the way that it's been comfortable. But so the universe is constantly expanding. So whether we choose to step outside of a box and try and expand things in a different way or not, the universe is constantly expanding. So eventually whatever we were doing will deteriorate and will fall away. You might have your favorite place to eat, but is it going to be there in 10 or 20 years? Not necessarily. So eventually you're going to have to try to go somewhere else and try something else. So speaking about food, another example of thinking outside the box and setting a goal. So an example could be something like, if it has to do with your how you want to be feeling in July and August. Where I live, July and August is nice and warm, and it's a great time to be out and about. It might be, I'm going to start looking to see if there's places to eat out in the world that have low inflammation foods that taste good. Because when I have low inflammation foods, I don't get injured as much because my body's not hurting so much, and I'm able to do more and get into shape easier and stay into shape easier, stay in shape longer without getting injured by just simply eating lower inflammation type foods. So let me see about this lower inflammation type menu and see if it exists out there in the world, and I'll step outside my box for that, because I can envision in my mind when it's warm and sunny here in July and August, I am feeling great in my body, feeling better in my body because I tried this thing. So that's like one example, but for you or for me, it might be something different than that. It requires really looking into our heart and what is our spirit? What do we love? What do we love the most? And what do we want the most? And imagining detaching easily from anything that doesn't serve that. So just putting that out there. Maybe I love a particular coffee ice cream from a particular place, and it's just the best thing ever, but it gives me way too much energy. It gives me way more energy than I need, and it makes me kind of like, and it fills up my sinuses and makes it harder to breathe for me. So it's not actually really serving anything other than like tasting good for me, but I want to feel better, and I want to feel better enough. So I'm imagining myself in July and August. I have found a replacement, or I found something else that I like so much more that that is not even a thought in my mind. It's like, can't have that. It's not even a thought in the mind because it doesn't even exist anymore. It's like literally in another room. I've stepped outside of that box into another place. I like to think of it like glam rock. as a musician who wants to get out there and do open mic, but I'm trying to decide what kind of music should I do. I've only been trained in classical music, and it was only for 7 years. But I've sung in a lot of choruses, but I want to do something more individual, or maybe a quartet. Well, what would be stepping outside of my box? I was listening to glam rock the other day. Glam rock is not classical at all. It is not classical music. It's not a 4/4 time. It's not a 2/4 time. It's not even necessarily a time. The rhythm changes, and not necessarily at a particular point. It can change unexpectedly. The notes that people are singing cannot be necessarily always matched on an instrument. It's almost as if they're different notes, and even the words, the lyrics don't necessarily rhyme, but they also like don't necessarily fit into any type of pattern. That's very outside of the box, and it's still music. It's still a song. So that could be, the way a musician might be thinking about composing. How do I want to compose my music differently? Is my heart down with that? Would that be what lights up my spirit and brings me to this place of excitement? You have an image on this lower on the shirt, but I'm not going to show it because it's the internet and who knows. But there's an image lower on this of a very young person who's riding a horse and very happy, and just it's also the type of detachment that Aquarius has. It's not a super emotional, like scorpionic type detachment. Like, I'm not talking about you, I'm not thinking about you, but I really am. I can't be with you, but I can't stop thinking about you. It's different. It's Aquarius. It's something as simple as the child on this horse that's riding this horse that's free, is unclothed. It's our spirit. Like, it's when it's hot outside, you don't need a jacket. It's the freeness. Aquarius can be associated with freedom to some degree, and that's because there can be freedom in, let's say you got wings that you need to spread and they're all cramped up in that box. It's about having the freedom, giving ourselves the freedom to step away and step out, and in order to fully self-actualize more and manifest more. It's not worrying about what other people have to say about it. And just remembering, like, we've already looked at the map, we know our way, and the map is always with us. And we saw the map when we were way out there in outer space before we came down here, and we have the map within us. That is like the Aquarius type energy. And the way that it serves the Leo fiery energy is cold air makes fire grow. Fire represents anything we're passionate about, and cold air represents that Aquarius type energy. So it might not be super fun right now to be thinking about what happens over in 6 months from now, but I guarantee you, if you're doing it right now, it's going to make 6 months from now so much better. And that's for all of the new moons, but especially so right now for the Aquarius new moon. We have Pluto that's conjunct Aquarius, and it's the first time Pluto has been in Aquarius for 260 years, which means it's the first time in our lifetime that we've had this other archetype in this energy of Aquarius, which I've been talking about. The Aquarius energy as being outside of the box. It may look like it's rebellious, but really it's just expanding its wings and bringing more freedom to itself in the world by saying, hey, I see these things that we can get around and we can get over and we can get under. I see the obstacles, but I see a way out of it. I see a way through it so that we can all have more. Well, Pluto energy also being in that type of space, Pluto rules power and it rules karma. It rules our past life on this planet that we've already had up until now, because I'm sure that you've had many versions of yourself in this lifetime. If you're watching this right now, there's probably a version of yourself that liked one thing at one point, and then another version of yourself that liked something different. And now you like this thing. So the past versions of ourselves, whether that's that we remember on this lifetime and on this earth, or whether it's past versions of ourselves, if you believe in past lives, whatever, it's karma. It's what we bring with us, and karma has a tendency to go in a circle, like the wheels of a car. And just because something's secular, though, remember, Aquarius can see the whole picture and can see that you're not just spinning your wheels going in the same place every time. You're leveling forward. You could think of it as leveling up, or you could think of it as leveling forward, whatever. You're expanding. So it may look similar, but it's not exactly the same. And that's about, Pluto is about power. It's about how things have always been. It's about learning from the past, but also having the knowledge of the past. Power starts off a lot of times very pure and beautiful, and it can become corrupt. But Aquarius is a time where it's about new beginnings. And if we are consciously moving towards what really lights up our heart, Leo represents the heart. It represents what we love. It represents gregarious, open, giving, gracious, loving energy that loves family, that loves friends, that loves life. It's fun and it's playful. And Aquarius has data to be able to blow that cold air onto that fire, to make that fire of love and energy and enjoyment of life and all that good stuff fly open wide. So yeah, have a good time setting your goals for this new moon. It's going to be super potent if you harness the energies and you just apply it.